everyone. The presentation today will be about it's a use case of using the enterprise architecture to for microservices or to do microservices design. The intent here is not to take the microservices design from the technical perspective, but to take it from the enterprise perspective and how to design the microservices composition. So I'm gonna talk about this subject by introducing the problem. What's the problem with the current approach for microservice design, and the different architecture styles, starting from the monolithic architecture style and to the microservice architecture style. What are the approaches for the microservices architecture style design? And what are the current problems with the current approaches and the proposition of using the enterprise architecture and especially the business capabilities in doing the design, and why we are proposing this this approach for microservices design. And I will end up with a very quick use case or very quick case study for using this approach. So the idea of the microservices architecture style is to architect software systems that are flexible and agile, robust and scalable. It's very important to have it as a stable composition and to avoid worsening the situation by introducing complexity without the benefit of the microservices architecture style. So the problem, the real issue with the microservices design is to design the component borders and the different composition of the microservices and how they interact together. So the note here I'm doing, my note here is to how is providing an approach of how to design a composition of the microservices style. As most of us, as we all know, that the monolithic architecture is a large and complex systems that causes us a lot of problems and produces a lot of blocks. So it's inflexible, it's unreliable, it's unscalable. It blocks continuous development and slows development, and it lacks agility and adaptability to change. And our microservices architecture style is proposed or is an alternative to the monolithic architecture style to provide to avoid these kinds of obstacles and problems. And actually, the problem of microservices decomposition lends itself very clearly to the main design principles of structured systems, the very old principles of structured systems. So we need to design modular microservices. We need to have it. We need to have modularity to reduce complexity in the produced system of the microservices. We need to have high cohesion within the microservices. We need to have smart nodes and dumb connections. We need to have low coupling. So so this enables us to provide or to produce designs that are adaptable and agile and accept changes. We need to have information hiding. So we provide only, we communicate only what's necessary. And we need to be implementation and technology agnostic. So these are design principles, and any approach that will try to be used or to be proposed for designing microservices should enable these kinds these design principles in its approach. If we did this, then we will reach the architecture style that provides quality attributes like being highly maintainable and testable, loosely coupled, fault tolerant, and independently deployable and scalable, and allows autonomy or autonomous teams to work on the different microservices. The current approach that's being widely used for microservices design is the domain-driven design, the concept provided by Eric Evans, with all its concepts like subdomain. So it starts by defining the business subdomains. Within these subdomains, we design the bounded context with its ubiquitous language, and we develop the models within these subdomains. And this is the approach that's widely used within the frameworks and tools to build the microservices. But there are problems with this approach of microservices design, because it doesn't provide the strategic context for the systems built on this architecture style. It doesn't connect to the business strategy. It doesn't connect to the business model. It's not connected to the operating model. And it doesn't lend itself to being an agile approach and stable approach. That's why in this note, we propose the business capability as a core concept. The business capability is the core concept within the enterprise architecture. It's a core concept that with its scope, with its impact in terms of outcome, with its scope in terms of information and governance, with being mapped to different aspects of the enterprise architecture, including the processes, the value stream stages, the information maps, the applications and technologies. So this concept of business capability, providing the context for microservices composition, is what we propose. Why that? Because first, business capabilities are stable. They don't change with the technology changes. They are stable across different organizational structures and across different technologies. So if we use that as the context for microservices composition, this will provide a stable design for the microservices composition. Also, business capabilities is a technology and organizational structure agnostic. So we can change the underlying technology used. We can change how we are organized. We can change the processes, and the business capabilities is still stable and provide a stable boundary for the microservices. It's a high-level concept and can be linked unambiguously to the business strategy. So this gives context for microservices composition. This links directly to how the information systems and applications will enable the business strategy. Also, business capabilities as being mapped to value stream stages and value streams, they can be used and deployed in different business scenarios. So this provides agility. If we map the microservices to business capabilities, then we can deconfigure and reconnect the microservices into different business scenarios, and this gives the systems and applications the agility required to change as the business situations changes. Also, business capabilities can be decomposed itself. So by decomposing the business capabilities, it enables refactoring of the microservices. So we can start at the high level of the business capability and then refactor it to underlying levels of business capabilities. So we gradually structure and decompose the microservices. We start from the high level and then we go to more detailed levels. Also, the configuration of the microservices can be changed with the change of the strategy. So if the direction changes, we know which capabilities we need to change, we need to build, we need to develop, and consequently what microservices will need to be developed and we need to be changed as well. So I'm applying this to a very quick scenario in the banking industry. So I'm applying this into a business scenario in which we provide a credit deal to the customer, to the different customer. So we have the value stream to establish and activate the credit deal, the different stages. And from this one, we know which capabilities are being used to enable the different value stages. Of them, part of them is the customer management business capability. That's one of them, with all its underlying capabilities, from identifying the customer to the abilities to authenticate the customer, to manage the information, to manage the credit risk of the customer, manage the preferences. So all the abilities that's related to the customer management capability. Also, another business capability is the credit agreement management capability, which is the ability to initiate and establish an agreement with the customer, to structure and price the agreement, to assess and conduct the due diligence, and have the analytics of the agreements and manage the life cycle of the agreement. So that's another important business capability within the value stream of providing credit agreement with the customer. So the concept of using the business capabilities as the context for composing and designing the microservices, we can use it for these two capabilities. So we can map the different sub capabilities into the microservices. So we have microservices for managing the customer reference data. We have a microservice to manage the customer life cycle. We have a microservice to manage the credit risk of the customer. These are microservices that are mapped to the business capabilities. With the same approach, we can do the same for the agreement management. So we have a microservice agreement to manage the agreement application and the establishment of the agreement. We have a microservice to manage the products and the facility structure for the agreement. We have a microservice to manage the terms and conditions for the agreement. We have a microservice to manage the portfolio of agreements. So this way, we're having the different microservices related to the agreement management. So what we need to do if we want to follow this approach, we need to build the enterprise capability map at least to level 3. We need to build the value stream map and start the most important customer-facing ones. Map the selected value streams to the enabling capabilities. Build the information maps so we have the information governed by within the scope of the capability. To define the information model for the microservices within the capability. Design the microservices boundaries using the capability map and the information map, and design the microservices interaction using the value stream capability cross-mapping. And the takeaways of this note is is that the enterprise architecture is introduced as a framework that provides appropriate component for abstracting the business domains and bounded context with characteristics that can be used to define microservice boundaries. Business capabilities have the characteristics of being stable, technology agnostic, and organizational structure agnostic, high-level concept, and can be linked unambiguously to the business strategy, and able to transform value generated in a wide of business scenarios. And good microservice decomposition follow the principles of good structural decomposition, including modularity, information hiding, high cohesion, and low coupling. So we need a decomposition approach that realizes these principles. We saw the domain-driven design as an approach that's being widely used for the decomposition, and with the notions of business domains and bounding contexts for within these domains, presented as reasonable guide to create microservice boundaries. However, this approach lacks the business context of a larger framework of strategy, business model, and operating model. So this concludes the note that the enterprise architecture, and specifically the business capability, is the right approach to use to be used to create a robust, stable microservices composition. Thank you, and I'm willing to hear any questions.
Thank you, Hassan. I think Dal here has quite a few challenges for you.
No, it's not so much challenges. I'm looking at your decomposition, and I mean, we're using the word microservice, but if we were, I mean, I'm very much seeing it as a functional decomposition. The way I see a microservice is a separate entity, in that the thing that, okay, what I'm trying to say is that you mentioned that you would extend a microservice. Refactor was the word you used, yeah? Yeah. But surely when you create a microservice, yeah, because at the end of the day, it's a piece of code. When you actually create that microservice has the boundaries, but that's a living and breathing entity. You wouldn't want to refactor it. You may want to extend it. You may want to encapsulate it in something else, but would you really want to refactor? So that was my one question. When would you actually refactor a microservice? Does that make sense?
Yes. So the granularity of the microservice is a big issue, a big concern, and the lower the granularity of the microservice, the more complex the system will be. And usually it's not recommended to start with a very fine granularity in terms of microservices. However, if we have the from the beginning the right composition, and we can go to the least fine granular microservices, this will be the optimal situation. But usually this is not the case. So usually we start with a high granularity microservice, then decompose it later. This is a pragmatic way of doing it. So I can have both ways. I can start from the business capability. At business capabilities itself is decomposed at two different levels based on its scope. So if I start with the high scope of the customer with all its aspects, then I'm at level 1. If I'm concerned with the, for example, the risk aspect of the customer, then I'm in a second level, which is the customer risk management. I can start with the high, this is the pragmatic way. I can start with the high level definition of the microservice, taking big chunks of the business capabilities, and then factor it later as we go. So we start composing the system with the high level granularity, then decompose it later. That's one way. Or I can take the other way. I decompose the business capability itself from the beginning, then I build the microservices accordingly. So that's a trade-off that we need to think of and decide.
So let me play this back, yeah? So the exam question is, when does a service become a microservice? So you've got your capability. So you've got a capability that maps to a service, and then you have a set of microservices supporting that service. So the question then becomes, when does a service become a microservice?
Yes, the service.
I think we need a whiteboard for this.
Exactly. Yes.
Can I come in? Can I come in on that, Hassan? I mean, tell me what you think.
Yes, sure.
Well, the idea about sort of enhancing cohesion and lowering coupling basically is that you want to reach an optimum level, granule size, if you like, of the microservice, such that it has the lowest possible coupling with other microservices, but at the same time it's highly self-contained, so you're unlikely to want to modify the insides of it. Now, for me, the arbiter of that is the capability model, which is, as you said earlier, is more robust than looking at functions. So it's not function decomposition, because in function decomposition knows what functions are required here, what are function requirements, which can change from one business to another and the same business from one day to the other. So this is highly changeable. So if you gear your architecture to what is required in terms of functional requirements, that is the danger of you slipping
No,
into,
I fully support the capability.
but so the capability thing is very different, I think, from, it looks at the surface like it's the same like function decomposition, but capabilities are sort of has a high degree of stability across time and across similar institutions as well. Like, for example, the banking industry will always have a credit assessment function no matter what bank it is, and so on and so on.
Oh, I see. Yeah. Okay. Let me think on this.
What do you think, Hassan? Is that
Yes, I totally agree. I totally agree with this argument. Yes, business capabilities provide a stable and robust, but taking this again, coming again to the right boundary for the microservice. I think the microservice boundary will be determined by or according to the principles that we've articulated in this, and the most important of them is is being concerned with a specific aspect or a specific task that the microservice does. So it needs to be cohesive. It needs to be concerned with one task. It doesn't change for many different reasons. So I need to change it for so many different reasons. So that's basically it. And if we follow the capability composition, this goes well, because every capability will be concerned within a scope. And if we follow the principles of the business capabilities that's built around the business objects as the core of the business capabilities, managing the business object, then changing or the microservice will end by changing the states of this business object. So it's concerned with this business object specifically, and this goes well with having one task for the microservice, which is managing, for example, the customer risk. So now all aspects of the customer risk will be managed within this microservice.
Hassan, can I also come in at this slightly? Again, tell me what you think. Not all business capabilities are as essential as each other or as core as each other. So given any certain business or organizational type, there are capabilities that are more core and more stable across time. So I don't mind having, what I call the architectonics of the thing, like architectonic capability model, whereby I have the most essential or the most sort of persistent ones right at the core of the architecture, and the one that are slightly more ephemeral or more changeable with time.
The counter argument to that is, if you've got a capability model that supports the business, all those capabilities are required in order to.
Yeah, but they're not required to the same degree.
Same classification.
Yeah, exactly. It's the samurai sword idea, if you remember. Okay. Not everything, not all capabilities are created equal. Yeah, but some are more equal than others, or something like that.
Do we have any questions online? Are there any questions for Hassan online? Anyone want to ask anything? Now's your chance.
Be brave, guys.
Go on, guys. Be brave.
Ask. those attending from AUC.
Well, there's no questions there. Listen, I found that really useful. Hassan, in the old days, about 25 years ago, I worked for a bank called UBS in Switzerland, and they started something called object request brokers. And,
Yes,
do you remember?
Yes,
You remember that?
I was around.
Yeah, I wrote a load of Java in the early days around that.
Yes.
But isn't the sorry, Hassan, this is one for Galal now, right? Because he's as old as me. But aren't the concepts the same? You've got your object request broker, you've got your business objects. Do you see where I'm going? Are we not going?
Request broker is the mechanism to implement the idea of requiring and orchestrating. But we'll talk about a much more foundational level of thinking and conceptualizing the system. Where do you look for what do you look for first? Where do you start? And
the starting point.
Where you start all your architecture around. What is the base? What is the conceptual base? What is the philosophy? And that's one of the ways we can do this. Listen.
Brilliant. Right. Are there any questions online? Come on, you. What's the university called?
AUC, American University.
Come
in Cairo.
on. Who wants to score a few brownie points here from the AUC? Anyone?
No, everybody's gonna raise their hand. They just love having extra points.
All right. Well, looks like no one's asking any questions. Listen, Hassan, thank you very much. That was very good. I really enjoyed that. And I look forward to the next one. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Hassan.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Nice meeting you. Bye.
Bye-bye.